Hello everyone.
We meet again. Here in this video, focusing on English for children, we are going to discuss about how to teach speaking to the children, or we are going to focus on the oral work. Okay, now, before we come to the activities or techniques about teaching speaking to the children, we have something that we have to keep in mind. The first one is for the children, speaking for the teacher and for the children, it is the most demanding skills. Yeah. Why? Because for the children, they have limitation for their lack of actual knowledge. Okay, they have limited vocabulary, they have limited knowledge of grammar, but at the same time, they have to produce something. They have to produce phrases or maybe sentences. Sometimes they have to imitate a dialogue. Yeah. Then the second one that we have to remember is that childrens are unpredictable. Sometimes we do not know what they want to say, and when they say something, sometimes it is surprising for us. Okay, so it is very important to find the balance between the first one and the second one. Yeah, the limitation of the actual knowledge in the children and that we do not know what they want to say. So at the same time, we have to find the balance between providing the language and let them enjoy the natural talk. Okay. Okay, these two things. Once again, providing the language and let them enjoy the natural talk. We provide the language through the activities, okay, the controlled and guided practice, and we let them enjoy the natural talk inside and outside the classroom at the same time. So, when they make mistakes in the activities, then they should be corrected at once, but not in free oral activity. We are going to see the difference between the controlled and guided activities and in free oral activity. Okay, so once again, that we have to keep in mind there are mistakes that should be corrected at once, but there are mistakes that can be allowed. Okay, we let them what is it talk, and we do not correct their mistakes. Okay, then in children class, how do we present the language? Okay, one, we can present the language from the students themselves. Okay, we can also present the language by using a mascot like this. Okay. We can also present the language by using drawings. Okay, like this. So they learn the vocabulary, they learn the expressions from the drawings. You can use silhouettes if you want to. You can use puppets. You can use pictures. Okay, this is the common one, pictures. You can also mime or act. Okay, like this one. And the last one, you can also use realia. Okay, so those are options to present the language. So remember, do not rely on the teacher presentation, but use something to make it interesting. Okay, before we mention that, well, we have to provide the language to the children through activities. Okay, either controlled or guided. The first one is controlled practice. Okay, controlled practice. Control practice goes hand in hand with the presentation. Remember, in teaching speaking, you must have presentation. It's impossible for the teacher coming to the class only asking the children to do exercise. No, teacher must present something. What should be presented? It depends on the lesson. Okay, either colors, for example, or certain expressions, like for example, how to introduce themselves. Okay, so teacher need to present something. Once again, remember, do not come to the class only asking the students to do exercise. Okay, you have to present something, you have to explain something, you have to review something, okay, before asking the students to do the exercise. So control practice is usually given after you present, so it is important for the students to try as soon as they have heard it. Okay, so control practice is given, okay, after the presentation. So should be the same with the presentation. Okay, it should be closely related to the presentation. Okay, so in this case, the it is there is very little chance that students make mistakes. Okay, why? Because the form should be the same with the presentation. For example, when I teach a dialogue like this, what is she doing? And then we teach them verb ing. Okay, verb ing. For example, we give what is that verb read, and then they just add ing, reading. He is reading. We give the word for example write. Okay, he is writing. So it should be the same. Okay, remember, in control practice, the answer is only one. The answer is only one. When students make mistakes, directly correct it. Okay, and make sure that it is the same with the presentation. Yeah, it is. What is it? The questions in control practice is the same with what the teacher presents. After control practice, give them guided practice. Okay, give them guided practice. What is guided practice? Guided practice followed directly from the control practice. Okay, so this one is after the control practice. In control practice, it should be the same with the presentation. In guided practice, okay, you can make it loose a bit, okay? We assume that the students know the form, okay? So we can give them situation where they will apply the form of the language. They can do it in pairs or in small groups, okay? We can give them limited choices. Remember, choices of the language. So it's not exactly the same. It's different. If it is a controlled practice, okay, for example, he is, okay, and then blank, and then we give the word do in the bracket, okay, so the answer must be doing. But if it is guided, you can give them choices. Okay, give them choices. Mostly, the exercise in the book is either controlled or guided. Okay, but if you give them situations, it is considered guided practice. Okay, the examples are what's the time? Okay, when we ask them to tell about the time, okay, to tell about the time, you can what is it? Give them options about the time, okay, like that, or chain work exercise. Okay, you can see the examples later on. Okay, in the textbook. Okay, now in oral work or in speaking, sometimes we give the children dialogues or role play. Okay, dialogues or role play. Okay, remember, do not directly ask them to create dialogue. Okay, you have to bridge between the control practice, guided practice, and freer activities. Okay, so first we present the dialogue with puppets, maybe, or with teddy bear, or with what is it? With my what is it? With the examples from the video, maybe. Okay, we present the example dialogue. Okay, example dialogue. And then the dialogue, it would be better if it involves movement. Yeah, why? Because it works best with young children. Okay, movement. So they learn something. Okay, while moving. When they move, it helps them to get the meaning of the words in the dialogue. Okay, so the dialogue involves movement. After they have heard the dialogue, let them repeat with you. Okay? When they repeat, they try to memorize the dialogue, okay, the expressions, and at the same time, they learn the pronunciation. Okay? After that, practice by giving them parts. For example, you will be A, I will be B. Okay, so say it together. A, and then you point the parts of the dialogue. Okay? And then exchange the role. I will be A, and then you will be B. And then part by part. For example, okay, students who sit on my left side will be A, and then those who sit on my right side will be B. Okay? Don't assume that, oh, they understand this. They will memorize this because it's a short. No, that's you, according to you. Okay? The children needs to get repetition. Okay? They should listen and repeat everything. Okay? After that, you can also give activities of completing the dialogue. Completing the dialogue. Okay? So, you eliminate the words that is part of your presentation and then let them complete the dialogue based on what they have heard. Okay, with the missing part, the missing part is something that you present, yeah, that day. Okay, it can be the expressions, it can be certain words, certain numbers, anything. After that, you give them role play. Okay, to work, one will be A, one will be B, and then act out the dialogue. Okay, so if you want to create dialogue activity, use objects. Okay, use objects. Okay. There are examples. Yeah, for example, guessing what's in the pocket game. You can make it in form of a game. But remember, in the game, use the expressions. Okay, for example, the children learn the expression of asking using what is, or guessing using is it. Okay, so is it big? Is it uh yellow? Is it long? Okay, so when the children when the children play the game, they apply the language. Okay, so you can use object. They have to guess the object. Okay. But remember, if you want to, what is that? If you want the children to guess, make sure they know the name of the object in the pocket. Okay. Do not, what is that? ask them to guess something that they haven't heard before or they do not know. Okay, it works well with children from 5 to 7. If you want to use role play in the class, okay, make the children pretend to be someone else. They like pretending, yeah, to be someone. Remember to go from the structured to more open type activity. What is the structure activity? Same like the controlled practice. Again, the moving is from the controlled, guided to the freer activity. Okay, if the students are beginners, maybe you can just make them have controlled and guided activity, not free activity. Okay, why? Because their language is very limited. Okay, but if the children, let's say, they are not beginners. Okay, even though they are children, the level is, let's say, intermediate, then you can have prayer activity. Remember, with young children, give model dialogue first. So prepare model dialogue. Okay, do not come to the class and then asking the students, okay, to create dialogue. It's impossible. Remember, you are the teacher of the children. You have to show it first. Okay, after you give model dialogue, then repeat the sentence. Okay, repeat the sentence again and again. Make sure that they have the correct pronunciation. They understand what is in the dialogue or in the role play. But with older children, you can act it out. Okay, the language can also come from the students. Okay, so when you do elicitation before the presentation, you can you can make the information from the elicitation as part of the uh, expressions or as part of the examples in the role play. Okay, I have a video about mystery bag games, but I will not play it here. I will give you the video separately. Okay, so once again, dialogue and role play are useful. Are useful. Why? Because in with dialogue or role play, they speak as the first or a second person. Okay, it is not monologue. Okay, they learn how to interact with other people, and then they learn to ask as well as to answer. But remember, if you want to teach them dialogue, asking and giving a response, make sure that you teach them the questions, how to ask, and then later on how to answer. Okay, focusing one by one. And then the benefit is that they learn to use short, complete bits of language and respond appropriately. Why? Because after the control practice, you can create guided practice. You can give them situation and then they learn how to respond appropriately based on the situation you give. Okay? Also, they don't just use the word but also use other part of speaking. In dialogue, they learn about the tone of voice. They learn the stress in certain words. They learn intonation. Also, they learn about facial expressions. They can also be encouraged to use more natural chat in the classroom. Why? Because they have practiced the dialogue. Okay. By repeatedly creating dialogue or role play in the classroom, okay, uh they are encouraged, okay, they can talk in the classroom more naturally. Okay, pay attention. Do not worry too much about the mistakes. Okay, like I said before, if it is in the controlled or guided practice, when they make mistake, correct them as soon as possible. But if it is free activity, let them speak. Don't worry about the mistakes. You can correct the mistakes later on. Okay, in the dialogue or in the role play. Okay, remember when we give them role play, it is the last activity. It's part of the production, and then usually it is either guided but a bit free activity or free activity. Okay, so don't worry too much about the mistakes here in the activity where they have to create a role play. Okay, here is the last one. The last part of activity, that is free activity. Okay, if it is free activity, we focus on the content, not the language. Okay, so for example, tell me about your holiday. Okay, so the students focus on the activities on holiday, the, what they think about holiday. So don't worry too much about the language. Okay, so again, if you want to focus on the language, that is in the free, oh sorry, in the controlled or guided activity. There is genuine communication even though the situations are artificial. Okay, what is meant by the situation are artificial? The situations are given by the teacher, that is the situations, but the language they use, the expressions is genuine. Okay, so you have to show them what they can or cannot use in the language. In the free activity, concentrate to the meaning rather than correctness. Remember, because this is free activity, the teacher's control is minimal. Okay, we make the atmosphere informal and non-competitive. Why? Because we want the students to be encouraged to speak. Usually in the free activity, we have game element. That is fine. Okay, so in the game element, it's what is it? If you play game and then the teacher correct your language, then it's not fun anymore. Okay, so remember in free activity, don't control the language too. Then don't worry about the mistake. You can correct if it is necessary, but don't worry too much about it. In free activity, we can ask them to do pair work, group work, or whole class activity. Okay, in the pair work, we can ask them to create dialogue, for example, asking for direction, or by using information gap using pictures. Okay, they sit, for example, back to back, and then one student get a complete picture, the second one get incomplete picture, and then the second student should ask question to the first one about what should be completed in the picture. Okay, in you can also create group work. Okay, group work where they have to describe pictures, or you can ask them to create storytelling exercise, or you can also do it as whole class activity. Okay, whole class activity by matching activity or by doing questionnaires. You can the students can move around to complete questionnaires. Okay, so whole class activity like matching activity here, you can make it into games, for example. So that is free activity. So remember, in the activity, start with presentation. Okay, and then you do controlled activity, guided activity, and then the last one is free activity. Okay, so those are the principles about teaching, speaking to the children. For more information, read the textbook or you may ask me questions. Okay? Don't forget, after this, prepare the activity to teach the students. Okay? See you. Thank you.